尊敬的各位嘉宾、各位大使、女士们、先生们，欢迎来到2024年第9届中国全球智库创新论坛。
Distinguished guests, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 9th Global Think Tank Innovation Forum 2024.
中国全球智库创新论坛于2016年发起，至今已成功举办8届。它已经发展成为一个重要的年度盛会，充分展示了中国在全球智库舞台上的声音。
Launched in 2016, the China Global Think Tank Innovation Forum has been successfully held for 8 consecutive years and has grown into a prominent annual event amplifying China's voice on the global think tank stage.
今天我们迎来了第9届中国全球智库创新论坛。我们非常荣幸地邀请到近100位杰出的与会嘉宾，其中包括政府官员、学者、国际组织代表、企业高管、青年领袖以及来自全球南方的代表。与会者来自美国、加拿大、意大利、西班牙、德国、印尼等多个国家和地区。我们将讨论特朗普2.0新政的全球治理与国际合作，美国大选后的中美关系去向何方，全球人工智能治理、中欧合作的前景与挑战，联合国可持续发展议程与人权发展。
Today marks the 9th edition of this forum. We are honored to have nearly 100 distinguished participants with us, including government officials, academics, representatives from international organizations, corporate executives, youth leaders, and key thinkers from the Global South. Our attendees come from diverse countries and regions, including the United States, Canada, Italy, Spain, Germany, and Indonesia. We will discuss topics such as global governance and international cooperation under a second Trump presidency, the future of China-US relations after the US election, global artificial intelligence governance, prospects for China-EU cooperation, and the United Nations Sustainable Development Agenda and human rights development.
此外，我们还将举办年度国际青年领袖对话 GYLD 论坛。大部分 GYLD 代表已于昨日抵达，他们将积极参与今天的讨论，在每个小组讨论中提问，并参加明天的论坛。请与我一起热烈欢迎他们的加入，并向现场的他们挥手致意。
Furthermore, in conjunction with this forum, we will also be hosting the annual Global Young Leaders Dialogue Forum. Most of our GYLD representatives arrived yesterday and will be actively involved in today's discussions, raising questions during each panel and contributing to tomorrow's forum. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to them as they join us in the audience today. But before we get into today's proceedings, please join us in viewing a short video about this forum to warm up.
好的，在我们的论坛开始之前，我们就来先看一段小小的视频。现在论坛正式开始，请全球化智库秘书长苗绿女士上台主持今天的会议。
Now, to officially begin our forum, I'd like to invite CCG Secretary General Mabel Lu Miao to take the stage and lead us through today's proceedings. Mabel.
Distinguished leaders, ambassadors, diplomats, think tank researchers, GYLD members, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, a very good morning to all of you. 各位尊敬的领导、大使先
Distinguished leaders, ambassadors, diplomats, ladies, gentlemen, dear friends, a very good morning to all of you.
China Global Think Tank Innovation Forum 2024， 欢迎大家参加2024年。
Welcome to attend 9th China Global Think Tank Innovation Forum 2024. This year, our forum will feature 4 relevant roundtable sessions will discuss the topics regarding the Trump 2.0 policies, the international relations, China-US relations, after the US election, global AI governance, and China-EU cooperation prospect, UN SDG agenda, and human rights development. And just now, our moderator have mentioned that we will talk about innovation, but first of all, we'll be deeply delighted to show our gratitudes that we have the honor to co-host this forum with the China's People's Association for Friendship with the Foreign Countries and President Mr. Yang for their support. I'd like to extend the heartfelt gratitude to the Academy of Contemporary China and World Studies, as well as the other partners, the China Friendship Foundation for Peace and Development, Hong Kong Foundation, Global Youth Leaders Dialogue, Alliance of Global Talent Organizations, and Conrad's Endeavor Foundation and Global Solutions Initiative.
Distinguished representatives from more than 15 think tanks across over 16 countries. We also have government officials from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the International Department of CPC Central Committee, the State Council Information Office, the Ministry of Commerce, and the Ministry of Science and Technology. And this conference also has garnered global attention with prominent guests from over 200 diplomatic missions, media organizations, enterprises, and research institutions join us in person. Our forum this year featured an innovative format with the senior experts from both China and abroad participating in each session. At the same time, representatives from our Global Young Leaders Dialogue program will ask questions to the experts. The Young Leaders 26 selected from 140 candidates will actively promote cross-border intergenerational dialogue through their interactions with experts. 下面呢，我们要进行
Next, we'll move on to the opening remarks session. We'd like to invite founder and president of CCG, the former counselor to China State Council, Mr. Wang Huiyao, to deliver this speech. Esteemed President Yang Wanmin and Vice President
Your Excellency Sid Chatterjee, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the Beijing 9th China Global Think Tank Innovation Forum. On behalf of Center for China and Globalization, I want to extend our warmest welcome to all of you to attend this very important annual event today in Beijing. So, as Dr. Miao just mentioned, we have really a great gathering today at this Millennium Hotel right here in CBD, Central Business District in Beijing. We are privileged to have almost over 200 eminent representatives from 70 countries, actually, and including 50 think tanks, over 30 global young leaders, and 40 media representatives. So it's really a mix of a great gathering, and of course, a business representative. And particularly, we have a large diplomatic corps attending our conference today. So your attendance today demonstrates a common dedication to promote dialogue and cooperation in an ever more interconnected global community. So today, the world faces a series of pivotal transformations that are shaping the world landscape. Humanity stands at a crossroads. It's really a historical turning point, facing unprecedented opportunities and challenges. The growing tide of anti-globalization, the Ukraine-Russian conflict, war, and of course, in the Middle East, the crisis. Actually, all those geopolitical conflicts and deepening ideological divisions are exacerbating the regional crisis and undermining global stability. Persistent development imbalances continue to plague the societies, while the long-term implication of technological innovation for humanity remain uncertain. Human security issues, not just national security, human security issues are actually more interlinked, transnational and diverse, with new vulnerabilities, poverty areas, and of course also the sources of instability keep emerging. So together, those dynamics are eroding traditional notions of peace that actually pose profound challenges to our shared aspiration for a more harmonious and prosperous world. We all know that the US presidential election in November is almost certain one of the 2024's most significant events that impact in the world. This is on the course to shape the future of the global political landscape, and multilateralism and global governance will be impacted. So the victory of Donald Trump, president-elect, and the conservative republic taking both houses will probably make a significant change, bring significant change to the United States from its 3-decade-long post-Cold War role as a global leader in globalization, and signals some tendency towards more traditionalism, conservatism, and probably unilateralism. So this outcome reflects both a regency of conservativeness in the US foreign policy and also alignment with the transactional approach characteristically of the president-elect Trump. But we look forward to a more positive changes the Trump new administration that can bring to the world. So we'll see. This is really important for all of us. Against this backdrop of these great changes, it is significant and for nations to worldwide to critically assess and adapt to the profound shifts and transformation of the international relation. China has always been an active promoter of global governance, global peace, and global prosperity. Recently, President Xi Jinping mentioned 8 key initiatives at the G20 summit. China is embracing changes through openness, continuously through openness, and taking concrete action. For example, China has recently exempted tariff for over 30 least developed nations that when they export to China, tax-free, zero, and unilaterally granted the free visa to 38 countries to come to China. And now I see the Beijing International Airport gets more busy now, and there's more travelers back and forth. China is also continue to stimulate its economy, including a recent series of government $1.4 trillion stimulus packages. Those steps demonstrate China's ongoing commitment to openness. So this forum is going to reflect all those things above. The forum has been convened in response to those pressing issues, bring together distinguished guests that here and global young leaders and scholars across the world. Through today's discussion and tomorrow, we hope to explore the opportunities and the challenges that humanity faces amongst current global challenges. The forum will feature multiple panel discussions. We're going to have an exciting day on issues of global governance, China-US relations, China-EU cooperation, Middle East relations, AI, and of course, UN SDG Sustainable Development Agenda and human rights. So this morning we're going to have all those discussions that is for throughout the day and tomorrow. So to conclude, I would like to again thank our partners and also all our participants, distinguished guests coming from so many different countries, and we have all the distinguished experts, and also we have a media, we have also the think tank colleagues, fellows. We'd like to well document our discussion and also make constructive proposals, not only to our government in China, but also to the relevant government abroad. So this is really a great, again, it's in its 9th year, and I would like to once again extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you for coming here today, and I wish you all the best in the discussions, deliberations, and learnings throughout the day. So wish the forum a resounding success. Thank you all very much.
I want to thank President Wang for the remarks, and now I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Yang Wanming, President of the Chinese People's Association for Friendship with the Foreign Countries. He used to be a member of the 14th National Committee of the NPC. He used to be serving as ambassadors of China to Chile, Argentina, and Brazil, and he also worked at the Foreign Ministry for a long time. The floor is yours. President Wang Guiyao, Mr. Jiang Jianguo, distinguished guests, dear experts, good morning. It gives me great pleasure to co-host this China Global Think Tank Innovation Forum again. Since its inception in 2016, we have been focused on international developments and think about the future of mankind. And we provide a platform for exchanging ideas and enhancing mutual understanding. This year's meeting is focused on current international situation and hotspot issues. We will explore international governance and the development of international relations. It is of great significance. So on behalf of my organization, I want to congratulate you on the opening of this forum, and also I want to extend my warmest welcome to all of the distinguished guests. Peace and development are the common pursuit of mankind. It is also an important topic of common concern to all international community. After the 2 world wars and the confrontation between the 2 camps during the Cold War, people have a stronger wish for peace, and they have a stronger determination to safeguard peace, and they also have a stronger aspiration for security and development. However, the world is not tranquil yet. Peace and development are still facing serious challenges. Looking back at the last year, geopolitical tensions are rising from here and there, and we also have the narrowing wealth gaps, and that has become an important root of terrorism and many other social issues. So under such circumstances, there have been a lot of schools of thoughts in the world, and people have different understandings and perceptions about different issues. So how can different countries and civilizations coexist with each other? Shall they choose cooperation or confrontation, war or peace, win-win or zero-sum? That is something the experts and scholars from think tanks should carefully think about in today's world. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to have a broader vision and a more open mind in seeing the world. Through the intertwined international situation, we need to follow the trend of the era and grasp the patterns of human development, and then we will be able to make the right choice. Since the breakout of the World War II, we have realized that globalization is the big trend, and multilateralism should also dominate the world. President Xi Jinping has proceeded from the basic interests of all countries and all peoples and came up with the idea of a community of shared future for mankind and the BRI and the Global Development Initiative, Civilization Initiative, and Security Initiative. That is a new plan for people to address common challenges and a new blueprint for a better world. To build a community of shared future follows the aspiration of the international community, points out the direction for the progress of human civilization that showcases the responsibility of China as a big country. This year, China has built different forms of community of shared future with many countries to promote harmony between man and nature, maritime network, etc. And we are also promoting the BRI, which has been supported by over 3/4 of the countries in the world and many international organizations. The 3 global initiatives have also been welcomed by the international community. To build a community of shared future is not just a Chinese initiative now. It has become international consensus. We are turning from the great vision to real actions, from bilateral to multilateral, from regional to global, from development to security, and from cooperation to governance. And we want to create a better future for peace, development, security, and prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, the U.S. election has ended. People are all concerned about the future development of China-U.S. relations. Just recently, President Xi Jinping had a meeting with President Biden in Lima, Peru. President Xi summarized the 7 experiences in the past 4 years. For example, we need to have a correct strategic perception. Second, we need to honor our commitments. We need to treat each other as equals. We should not challenge the red lines and the bottom lines. We need to engage in more dialogue and cooperation. We need to respond to the will of the people. And we should demonstrate the responsibilities of big countries. And the 2 leaders reiterated that they need to follow 7 consensus in developing China-U.S. relations. First, for example, we need to respect each other and honor the United Nations charters and carry out cooperation in relevant areas and responsibly manage the competing factors in our bilateral relations. These experiences and principles are important guidance for the long-term development of China-U.S. relations and are also the common direction of our hard work for this relationship. Although there are uncertainties in our relations, our 2 sides are still committed to treating and developing our bilateral relations from the perspective of the building of a community of shared future for mankind. And we want to maintain the stability and continuity of China-U.S. relations. We are committed to mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and win-win cooperation. We want to explore the right way to China-U.S. relations. And at the same time, we will firmly uphold our own sovereign and territorial and development rights. We believe that we should be partners instead of rivals. And we should help each other rather than harm each other. We should see common ground while sharing differences rather than vicious competition. We should honor our commitments rather than failing to keep our word. We believe that we should not have big power competition, and we should engage in cooperation. And delinking is not the solution. We need to pursue mutually beneficial cooperation. And the small courtyard should not be the behavior of big countries. And we need to do more for the whole world. Our 2 countries should address the interests of the whole mankind and shoulder responsibility for peace, create opportunities for development, and provide public goods for common security and make greater contribution to human civilization. Next year marks the 50th anniversary of China-EU relations. In today's unstable world, China-EU relations are more strategic and of global significance. And we believe that the EU is an important direction of China's big power diplomacy, and it is an important partner for China to realize its modernization. We do not have fundamental conflicts of interest between our two sides. We have more consensus than differences between the two sides, and we have more cooperation than competition. And our partnership should be the keynote of our relations, and cooperation should be the mainstream of our relations. And we should be committed to shelving differences while seeking common ground, and we should support each other in achieving development for each other. Ladies and gentlemen, President Xi said that people-to-people friendship is the foundation for better development of international relations. It is a source of momentum for the development of international relations. My organization has a history of 70 years, and we have established partnerships with over 400 organizations from over 140 countries, and we have helped China to establish over 3,000 partner cities or states from 140 countries. And we are committed to building state-to-state ties and people-to-people friendship. Going forward, I would be happy to work together with all of you to build more platforms for people-to-people exchanges and youth exchanges and other forms of exchanges in order to contribute to the friendship between the Chinese people and other peoples, to common development and mutually beneficial cooperation, and to the building of a community of shared future. Finally, I do hope that all of you will make good use of this forum to engage in discussions, increase mutual understanding, and help improve international relations so that the world is more peaceful, secure, and prosperous. Finally, I wish this forum every success. Thank you so very much. Thank you so much, President Yang Wanming, for your wonderful sharing. And also, I want to thank the Chinese People's Association for Friendship with Foreign Countries for the strong support for this forum. And now I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Jiang Jianguo, Executive Vice President of the China Society for Human Rights Studies. Mr. Wang Huiyao, Mr. Yang Wanming, dear friends, distinguished colleagues from think tanks, good morning. I'm so pleased to have this opportunity to be invited to this China Global Think Tank Innovation Forum again. In the past long period of time, globalization has become the dominating theory when we understand the global issues. However, in recent years, we have seen anti-globalization that has brought huge impacts to our perception and life, especially led to the increase of China-US tensions. And in particular, this tension is about structures. It has nothing to do with the change of leader at the White House, and underlying this tension is that now the capitalism has been turned into imperialism and especially financial monopoly, which is represented by the United States. And that is the final and most crazy stage of development of capitalism, actually. And they believe that only they can eat the meat on the table, and other people can only be used or dominated by them on the menu. So only those countries can always drink milk, and other people can only be the cows. So we can see that now we have those deep-lying structural issues. And the U.S. government always blame other countries to address its domestic issues. They need to create a strong external enemy to strengthen its internal solidarity. And then they will achieve the purpose of dominating the world. But for China, we are guided by the leadership of the Communist Party of China on the path of socialism. Our people have been united, and we have been working hard by ourselves to accelerate our development. In the new era, now we have the strong perceptions and commitments which have put our country to a best stage of development. And we are now moving closer to the United States in many areas in terms of economy, science and technology, and national defense. And we are always committed to safeguarding world peace and development. And we use our own development to safeguard world peace and development. However, that is not the view of the U.S. politicians. And the Wall Street people do not view it like this either. And they stubbornly believe that China has endangered their dominance and hegemony. And they have become, and China has become the strongest external enemy to them in addressing their domestic issues.
So they should do everything that they can to suppress China and push China back to the plate again and lock in the capsule and be served on the menu forever, as a cow forever. And now, there is a view that the next American government may only pursue for money instead of people, only pursue utility, not morality, and be less dominated by ideology. And this view may be a little simple. An ancient said that even thieves also have their own morality, no matter what kind of utilitarian behavior, all play a false moral banner. Look at those who are about to take office in the new government. All of them have a strong ideological background, and many of them have a strong prejudice against China, anti-communist sentiment, and Cold War mentality. Listen to these people's recent burst of words, all of which indicate that the ideological storm is coming. To be sure, in the next game between China and the U.S., the ideology will become the first battlefield, and the war of public opinions will become an outpost. In this regard, China think tanks should focus on the following four aspects. First, make good use of our own ideological weapons. This is to thoroughly study and implement President Xi's thoughts on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era and Xi's diplomatic thoughts, and insist on taking national sovereignty, security, and development interest as the insurmountable bottom line. At the same time, we should also serve to promote the stable, healthy, sustainable development between Sino and U.S. relations in accordance with the principles of mutual respect, peaceful coexistence with win-win cooperation. Second, consolidate our material strength. This is to arm the whole party, educate the people, guide practice, and promote work with the party's innovative theory, and turn the power of the theory into the material power, into the power of self-confidence and self-reliance, into the power of building consensus, unite as one to turn or run China's own affairs and accelerate the great journey of national rejuvenation and building a strong country. Third, optimize our strategies, and this is to also hold high the banner of peace, development, cooperation, and win-win, carry forward the spirit of reform and opening up, give full play to the strength of think tanks, continuously expand cultural exchanges between China and the U.S., promote the communication between the people, and dispel the psychological smoke and haze imposed by U.S. government on the two peoples and even the people of the world with the human morality. Fourth, achieve our goal of victory. And this is to jointly promote the building of the community of the human destiny and firmly safeguard the international system with the UN at the core, the international order based on international law, and the basic norms of international relations based on the purpose and principles of UN Charter, promote the world peace and development, and contribute to the building of the better world. And these above are my personal thoughts. For your reference, thanks again to the CCG for holding this annual meeting, which provide a platform for discussing globalization issues together. I hope that the ideological sparks can be presented on this platform that will benefit the general well-being of mankind. Thank you. Thank you, Minister Jiang. To remark, next, we will welcome Mr. Yu Tao, Vice President of China International Publishing Group, to deliver the speech. Many thanks to the CIPG for their great support to this forum. Thank you. And you have the floor, Mr. Yu. Esteemed President Yang, Executive Vice President Yang, President Henry Wang, good morning, everyone. I'm very delighted, together with all of you in Beijing, to attend the 9th China Global Think Tank Innovation Annual Meeting 2024. On behalf of China International Publishing Group and the CIPG, to extend the congratulations to the successful convening of this annual meeting. So today's world, the changes of the world and historical changes right now are comprehensively presented themselves. A world development is faced with a series of new topics and issues. President Xi Jinping in G20's Leadership Forum mentioned that the stability and prosperity of the world cannot be established on the problems that has been faced and suffered by the poor people, but making the rich people and the rich countries even more richer. And as well, the 3 initiatives provided by China and the community of the shared future for mankind has been widely acknowledged by the world. In order to tackle the world problems, we can see the new momentum has been injected by China so that China can be more closely connected to the world. China is the promoter of the international cooperation. As the second biggest economy in the world, we are always dedicated on the cooperation with other countries, especially in the framework of the BRI, to cooperate with other countries in terms of capacity building and the trade and economic facilitations, and to safeguard the stability and authority of the multilateralism. China is also the active promoter and advocator of innovation. Innovation of the science and technology is also the driving force for the progress of the world in terms of AI, big data, and cloud computing, and forefront realms of science and technology. We advocate for the international cooperation to promote even more round of the revolution of the science and technology, to share the resources altogether and to allocate the resources properly. China is also the very strong practitioner of the innovation and opening up. We are very open-minded, as always. We are actively promoting the exchange of the different cultures to promote the understanding between the different peoples, which can boost the exchange of China's cultures to the world. And also, we can exchange the international cultures back to China as well. So our group, as the biggest comprehensive promotion and publishing groups in this country, we're dedicated on telling good stories of China, spread China's voice to the world. Together with the Henry and Maple, the CCG, led by the 2 doctors, and many other think tanks, both at home and abroad, as well as the universities and research institutes, to collaborate with each other to conduct the joint research, is set up the platform of resource sharing, and also sharing of the education resources so that we can offer the public goods to the world, and to deepen the mutual understanding between the different civilizations of the world. And at this podium, talking about the opportunities for the international cultural exchanges, I'd like to touch upon 3 aspects. First of all, peaceful development. Peace and development is the bottom line of the international community. The big powers cannot avoid the divergence and the disagreement, but should not be at the cost of the world peace. We have to avoid the conflicts. And the most important safeguard and also the baseline has to be guaranteed. It can provide the opportunities to guarantee the world peace and the development. And second, mutual prosperity and mutual benefit are the basis for the international diplomacy. Right now, we are experiencing a lot of disturbances in the world. We are faced with unprecedented challenges for humankind. So delinking is not the way out, and cooperation is the only way out. The high wall and the small yard is not the way out. Opening up and cooperation can benefit the humanity at the end. We have to extend the list of the items of cooperation and make the cake bigger for the cooperation. Can we inject momentum and certainty to the world?
Third, exchanges and mutual learning is a source of progress of human civilization. Country-to-country exchanges should be based on respect for each other's development, and we should build bridges for people-to-people exchanges, and we should also eradicate the obstacles and provide public goods for the global community and play an active role in promoting global solidarity and cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, the China International Publishing Group is committed to continue exchanges and cooperation with all parties and grasp the new opportunities of international communication under the new era. And we will focus on security, development, and civilization initiatives to promote inter-civilization exchanges and mutual learning. And we want to carry out communication exchanges and think tank dialogue in order to contribute to a better world and help China to better be integrated into the world. Finally, I wish this forum every success. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vice President Yu Tao from the China International Publishing Group.
His Excellency George Toledo, Ambassador of European Union to China. 下面我们热烈的欢迎来自欧盟驻华使团的欧盟驻华大使 George Toledo 先生为我们致辞。Floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mabel. Thank you very much, Henry. Thank you very much to the CCG, China Globalization Center, Center for Chinese Globalization, rather. I know it by heart because I come very often. I'm invited by Henry and by Mabel. Thank you very much. And I think this is a forum which is probably our favorite in the European Union delegation because it allows us to speak and to speak freely. And it's also a partner for us. It's a partner for the European Union delegation. We organize a yearly think tank exchange with the CCG, and we are always very happy to cooperate with CCG. So thank you very much for that. The talk of the town, of every town, everywhere, is the new US administration. We have heard a lot already today about that. I am a bit reluctant of talking about the new US administration because the new US administration is not yet there. There is a lot of speculation. There are a lot of Twitters, a bit too many for my taste. And we have to continue working. We have to continue cooperating, and we have to continue making efforts for world peace and progress. So I will not refer too much about the new US administration, if you allow me. But there is a lot of talk here and in Brussels about how it could affect the EU-China relation. Some say the EU-China relation will improve because maybe the new US administration will hit us with tariffs, and then that is an opportunity for China and the EU to get closer. Some say we will be drawn into an anti-China US policy. Well, I'm not going to get into that because that would be speculating, and I'm not here to speculate. I will try to be brief and objective. I know that our Chinese friends don't like the way we describe EU-China relations as a partner, a competitor, and a systemic rival. I think this is a fair description, and I don't think it will change naturally, or it will change if the underlying causes for us to call it like this change. And this is my most important message. We describe our relation with China as partner, competitor, and systemic rival because there are reasons for that. We are partners, and very good partners, I must say, as we have demonstrated in Baku COP. We have demonstrated also in the protection of biodiversity and protection of the environment in general. Not perfect partners, but good partners in the protection of the environment, biodiversity, and the negotiation for climate, for fight against climate change. It's not perfect. We would like, and I say it clearly, China to contribute financially at least half of what it contributes to the problem, which is 30% of the greenhouse gases emissions, and it's a country that is no longer a developing country as we understand it, which is, according to the UN, according to the World Bank, a high medium income country, and very soon a high income country. But anyway, we are competitors, and there starts the problem. We are competitors, and we don't mean competition as the US means competition. When we say competition, is that we are competitors in the world markets. We are competitors in trade, we are competitors in investment. That's okay. But why do I say that starts the problem? Because we sincerely and clearly believe that we are not competing fairly. And we have been telling this to our Chinese friends for many years. And it has become unsustainable. And that's why we are now taking measures. So we have seen no progress in our trade talks with China in the last 5 years. And President von der Leyen was here twice last year. Many commissioners visited China, and I must say, and this is clearly what we believe, there has been no progress. So whatever happens in the White House, we still have this problem. whatever happens in the White House or from the White House, that doesn't mean that our unfair trade and investment relations will naturally change. They will only change. We will only get to a better level playing field if we find progress, if there is progress by China. The European Union Chamber of Commerce has listed over 1,000 market access barriers. This is up 100 market access barriers from 2022. China has grown 40% since 2017, its GDP. China's GDP has grown 40%, 40, since 2017 to 2024. Do you know how much our exports to China have grown? Well, they have decreased by 30%. So it has reached unsustainable levels, and this has to be leveled. Otherwise, whatever happens in the White House, we will have a problem. And third, we are systemic rivals. I know that our Chinese friends hate that, but we are systemic rivals in several issues, and some of them are existential. One of them is existential, at least one, but more of them. One I will I always mention, which is the Chinese position on the Russian aggression on Ukraine, which we call it like this, because it is an aggression, an unprovoked, an illegal aggression on Ukraine. We know that China didn't create the problem, and that China says it is not supplying lethal weapons to Russia. Well, it is supplying, not the Chinese government, but the Chinese companies are supplying dual-use and dual-use products to China, which is feeding the war machine that is being attacking and causing so many deaths in Ukraine. But I tell you why this is a systemic rivalry problem, which again will not change for the better, whoever is in the White House. Because it is such a contradiction for traditional Chinese principles that we cannot understand it in Europe. And in Europe, this is an existential problem, and this has changed the perception of India for the worse in Europe. And it won't change for the better if the Chinese attitude, if the Chinese position doesn't change. Because when the Chinese government was celebrating very few weeks ago the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence, and I will mention them one by one: mutual respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity, mutual non-aggression, non-interference in internal affairs, equality and mutual benefit, and peaceful coexistence. I remember I was participating in some event, and I said, which one of those was not blatantly, is not being blatantly violated by Russia? Apart from the fact that the P5, a permanent member of the Security Council, is supporting diplomatically and politically the aggressor, which is another member of the P5 that is attacking with no provocation a sovereign state which was recognized by the international community and by Russia itself. So we have other systemic rivalry issues, like what we consider human rights and the narrative about human rights. But that's, we have a discussion, we have a dialogue with China. But let me finish here. We have an opportunity. The Ambassador Wang Min mentioned the 50th anniversary of our relations. This is cause for celebration. This must be cause for grasping this opportunity. Changes like the one in the White House bring challenges and opportunities. Let's face the challenges together through dialogue, and let's grasp the opportunities. But be conscious that the problems that underlie our relations can only be solved by us bilaterally, whatever happens anywhere else. Thank you very much.
Speech from Ambassador Toledo. Actually, yes, indeed, we need to have more dialogue to reduce the misunderstanding between EU and China, more people-to-people exchanges to build more strong tie between us. Next, we would like to warmly welcome His Excellency Sid Chatterjee, UN Resident Coordinator in China. 下面我们热烈的欢迎
Next, warmly welcome Mr. Sida Chatterjee, UN Resident Coordinator in China.
Your Excellency, Mr. Yang Wanming, the President of the China People's Association for Friendship of Foreign Countries, Your Excellency, Mr. Jiang Jingguo, Member of the Standing Committee of the CPPCC National Committee, my brother Henry, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start by commending and congratulating CCG and Henry and Mabel for their leadership in really transforming CCG into a global think tank which allows the purposes of intellectual exchange to happen in an open and transparent way. And I also want to commend everybody present here because today's discussion is critically important. Ladies and gentlemen, the world, for the first time post the Second World War, is seeing the gravest interlocking crisis we've ever experienced. We've come out of a health pandemic which exposed the fragility of human health and health systems globally. In fact, it had an economic impact which rivals the Great Depression of the 1930s, an impact of which we will continue to face over years to come unless drastic structural readjustments are not made. We're seeing a climate crisis which looms like the sword of the Damocles over our heads, a climate crisis which is proving to be existential. Look at the hurricanes in Florida and North Carolina, wiping out lives and livelihoods. Look at the effects of floods in Europe. Look at the forest fires that happened in Chongqing in 2022. Climate change sees no borders. The triple planetary crisis is here. Biodiversity loss, air pollution, climate change, further impacting food security and public health. And then we have over 80 conflicts going on all over the world. It's not just Gaza and Ukraine. There are 80 ongoing conflicts. And then we are seeing rising levels of inequality, financial stress across the world. So the effects of what we are seeing now has put the world on a very dangerous trajectory. For the first time post the Second World War, over 120 million people have been displaced as a result of climate change, as a result of instability, as a result of conflict, as a result of impoverishment. Bottom line is the Secretary General of the United Nations has appealed to the world to rescue the Sustainable Development Goals. It is the only hope, it is the only North Star that we have where all 193 member states of the United Nations came together in 2015 to agree on a set of principles, set of development ambitions, that would aim to lift people up. The first 5 goals remaining the unfinished business: ending poverty, ending hunger, universal health coverage, quality education, gender equality. The United Nations was founded on 3 pillars: peace and security, sustainable development, and human rights. And this is precisely why the United Nations Secretary General called for the Summit of the Future this September at the UN General Assembly in New York. And the purpose of that Summit of the Future was to resurrect, reinvigorate, revive multilateralism, which is completely fractured. Multilateralism is actually in an existentialist crisis by itself. And that is where 193 member states of the United Nations came and agreed upon the fact that we do need to do something about it, and we came up with a Pact of the Future, which has 54 actions across the 5 overarching areas: global governance, peace and security, financing for sustainable development, science, technology, and artificial intelligence, and finally, the most importantly, youth and future generations. This is about all of us. This is about your children and your grandchildren, of what they're going to be inheriting in times to come. And in this context, I would like to quote the United Nations Secretary General when he said that the summit, the Pact of the Future, is about turbocharging sustainable development goals and the Paris Agreement, accelerating a transition away from fossil fuels and securing a peaceful and livable future for everyone on our planet. End of quote. In this context, the United States and China relationship is the most consequential relationship of the 21st century, undeniably. For the Pact of the Future to succeed, we would need the leadership of the United States, of China, of the European Union coming together in the face of the common threats that we confront. Yes, there are geopolitical differences. That is why we have the United Nations as a place for dialogue, as a place for understanding, as a place for accord, as a place for diplomacy. But the geopolitics should not fracture the common threats that we are addressing. If you will recall, ladies and gentlemen, during the Cold War, scientists in Russia, scientists in the United States collaborated to create the vaccine against smallpox. It was possible, which ended smallpox across the world. Collaboration on the climate is going to be absolutely critical. And I see 5 overarching areas that can actually spur and give more velocity to human development. The space of artificial intelligence, the space of quantum computing, the space of semiconductors, fintech, biotech. Imagine if we had the intellectual might of the US, of the EU, of China coming together to address common challenges through these 5 areas of convergence. Not only will we turbocharge the Sustainable Development Goals, but we would actually make humanity progress exponentially. In this very country, where 90% of China was poor in 1979, the per capita GDP of this country was a mere $180. In a matter of 4 decades, not only have they lifted 790 million people out of abject poverty, but also feed 1/5 of the world's population with 9% of the world's arable land. Imagine the possibilities of this knowledge coming together and being shared with other countries still struggling to get out of poverty. Which brings me to another very important point as to why we need to reform the international financial architecture. We cannot continue with the way business as usual of the World Bank and the IMF. I'm sorry, it is unacceptable that an institution that was created back in 1945 has not been able to reform itself and become fit for purpose to the context of the financial crisis that we confront. The world today needs $4 trillion annually, $4 trillion US dollars annually in order to keep the SDGs on track. And it's not that the money is not there, the money is in the market. It is about reforming, restructuring the entire financial architecture and the financial institutions which currently are failing countless developing countries. Today's discussion is extremely important. It is about finding accord. It is not about the differences that we have. This is why the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, launched the boldest reforms of the United Nations system. Reform of the development system to make the United Nations fit for purpose. Me, as the UN resident coordinator to China, as the senior most representative of the Secretary General, I'm determined to respond to that clarion call of making the UN fit for purpose, to reposition the UN to be able to support China's development ambitions, which is what exactly 129 resident coordinators across the world are trying to do. But for us to succeed, we will need the support of all member states in order to move forward on this. Given where we are, there is still reason for optimism. There is still reason for hope. There is still reason for opportunity. Let me conclude with a quote from President Xi Jinping, which he's made at the Boao Forum in 2021. And he said, "By setting sail together, we could ride the wind, break the waves, and brave the journey of 10,000 miles. We may encounter stormy waves and dangerous rapids, but as long as we pool our efforts and keep to the right direction, the giant vessel of human development will stay on an even keel and sail towards a brighter future." Thank you very much. Sheshe.
Thank you, Madam Miao, and all the opening remark speakers.
General Secretary Miao, and all of our distinguished speakers, thank you for your eloquent, inspiring, and thought-provoking speeches.